everyone and welcome to the Gooner Factory. Today we'll be talking about the results on the weekend as Man City lost points, Liverpool scrape a 3-2 win at home to Fulham, but also we'll be looking ahead to tomorrow's game away at Luton. So let's get into it. So firstly, we're going to start on tomorrow's game. It feels like we only played yesterday. These games, they're coming thick and fast now. It's like 2 games a week for the foreseeable future. And I can't moan because I love watching the games. But at the same time, it makes you think one of these players are bound to pick up an injury because they've only just played. I guess the only relief in this game is that we are playing Luton. And I know every team in the Premier League is a hard game, but I think most teams expect to rock up to Luton and take home the 3 points. So in terms of what kind of game do I expect, we're playing third from bottom. So to be honest, I expect us to go there and show them why we're top of the league. There should be a noticeable difference on the field in terms of how both teams operate. And that's just the reality of the situation. These are 2 very different clubs with 2 very different set of expectations. Now, that's not to take anything away from Luton. I love the story. I love the fact that Kenilworth Road is a Premier League stadium. You've basically got to walk through some lady's living room in order just to get to the stands. I love the whole dialogue of having Luton in the Premier League. But if we're being honest, this Luton manager, these Luton owners aren't looking at a game against Arsenal and thinking, oh, this is where we can expect to pick up points today. This isn't the kind of game where points are factored into the end picture of them wondering how they're going to accrue the 40 points needed for survival. This is the kind of game where, the players just go out there and it's kind of, you're playing one of the best teams in the country. You got nothing to lose. And if they can somehow just nick a point, they would be over the moon. So let's look at their form going into this game. So the last 4 games actually don't make them out to be as bad as some people will expect them to be. So last game, they lost convincingly 3-1 to Brentford away. But before that, they beat Palace at home. Before that, they lost an away game to United 1-0, and that was a close game. Then the game before that, they drew with Liverpool at home. So maybe it's not as easy as I'm suggesting it would be. But you would think a team like Arsenal, they usually put these kind of teams to the sword. So I'm expecting nothing other than that in this game. So in terms of their danger man, you'd probably have to say Colton Morris, 3 goals this season, but he did score 20 goals last year in the Championship. So he knows where the net is. And in terms of what we're likely to do, it's always hard to predict in terms of structure. But he's probably likely to play 2 attacking options in the midfield again. We've seen the last few games he likes to sort of deploy Trossard in the midfield area just to bolster the attacking flair when we are pushing forward. Declan Rice on his own in that holding role. You would assume that would be more than sufficient in a game like this where we're expected to have a large portion of the possession. And in defence, he may opt to start Ben White for the first time since his injury a few weeks ago. And it probably won't be the most intense game in terms of defending. So I would start Ben White in this game. You've got Brighton and Liverpool coming up. So even if you start him this game, you rest him for the Villa game on the weekend, then he should be ready for those games by the time they come around. So the team I would go for is Raya in goal, Ben White right back, Saliba and Gabriel centre back. They have played a lot of football, but remember, they can be rested next week when we play PSV in a game that we don't really need to win because we've already topped the Champions League group. And this is a Premier League game, so we need our strongest defence still. Then you've got tomiyasu left back. He's undroppable at the minute. One of our most consistent performance. And Zinchenko, he was at fault for that goal on the weekend against Wolves. So if anyone deserves to be dropped, it probably is him. Declan Rice CDM. And I would go Trossard, Odegaard to complete the midfield 3. I really like Trossard in the middle of the park. He has traits that are kind of similar to Santi Cazorla. He obviously can't play the role as well as Santi, who was a career centre mid. But definitely some of the movements and actions are reminiscent of Cazorla, who was loved at Arsenal. So if there's any player that can even resemble that slightly, that would always be welcome. Then SAKA, Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus to complete the front 3. And that team should be more than good enough to turn up to Kenilworth Road, pocket the 3 points, extend our lead at the top of the table, then head into that Villa game full of momentum. That would be 6 games won on the bounce. So how are we looking at the top of the table? How are the teams looking around us? I'll start with 5th place Spurs. They fell off a cliff recently and I love to see it. It was a good result from on the weekend. They drew away at Man City, actually helping us extend our lead, although I'm not sure they will be thinking of it like that. And then you got Villa in 4th. They're flying at the minute. They drew yesterday against Bournemouth actually, but before that they won in Europe, beat Tottenham at their place, beat Fulham, won the previous game in Europe as well. So they are a solid team. We know Emery's got them organised this season, and they are a difficult game for anyone. And obviously we play them on the weekend, so I look forward to that one. Then you got Man City in 3rd. Ooh, I love it. Do you know what? No one has ever won 4 Premier League titles on the spin, so maybe City won't win it this year. And that's why it's important that Arsenal just keep winning games, because history would suggest City won't win it this year. Yes, they have an unbelievable squad, but we all know that. But why are they dropping silly points? Why aren't they beating the likes of Wolves? Is it because of what Gary Neville said? Remember when he said, he previously mentioned that after a treble win, sort of when you're coming from such a high, you've conquered football, you've reached the pinnacle. So the season after, it's harder to get yourself up for the games. Gary said that the season after their treble win for United, that was the hardest season he ever played as a player. So are we now seeing that with this Man City team? I mean, you would probably think that Pep is onto them all the time, just trying to keep that desire, trying to keep that hunger, as he has done so many times in the past. But is this the year he's unable to do it? I, as an Arsenal fan, certainly hope so, and I'm sure Liverpool fans do as well. And they currently occupy the second position. They're looking good this season. Plenty of danger up front. Their midfield looks way more balanced this season. Klopp's worked wonders there to transform their whole midfield in one window. It's remarkable. When you lose your captain, who's been pivotal in all your recent success, you replace him, and not only you don't drop off, but you improve to such a point that you're back in the title race. And that's brilliant from Klopp. Probably, look, if I'm being honest, not as developed as the Arsenal and Man City midfield yet, which is probably predictable, as it has just been assembled, but they're still doing great things. Young age profile, plenty of legs, plenty of creativity. Szoboszlai looks unbelievable, and it's a weird one with him, because I have a mate who's a big Liverpool fan, and he was telling me pre-season, Szoboszlai looks rubbish, he can't pass much, can't make much happen, but as soon as the Premier League starts, he sort of flicked the switch, and he just went beast mode, and now he's one of the better midfielders in the whole league. They look great defensively as well. Van Dijk, he's had a resurgence of form. He seems to be putting in some flashback performances as well. So as a team, Liverpool are looking like a solid unit, but it's just whether they can handle the whole season with how new that midfield is. Then first place, Arsenal sitting pretty top at the minute, and our squad will only improve when the likes of Partey return, when the likes of Yuri and Timber return. So as long as we don't sustain any more injuries, I think we'll be in a position where we're able to outlast the point of which we dropped off last season. But let me know your thoughts on everything I've mentioned in this video. What are you expecting from the Luton game? What's your score prediction? I'm going with a 4-1 win to Arsenal. What are you thinking of this title race? Man City, will they improve? Liverpool, will they drop off? And as always, thanks to everyone for watching and listening, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.